Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Falco and I'm going to be talking about therapeutic reflection with digital media. Um, who I am, I was a digital artist first, so when we were seeing all the stuff from Kate with the computer mouse, and that was me. Before I kind of dipped into the wet mediums and mixing with paint and exploring the texture point of being an artist. I'm trained in developmental psychology and education. I've worked in the technology field for over 4 years. That kind of is what got me comfortable with using it with clients. Okay, but most of my experience is either personal stuff or stuff done with peers, or I'm currently working as a school counselor, so a lot of it is in one-on-one sessions or group sessions with my students. So in 2014, teens spent an average of 6.5 hours with media and 8.5 if they multitask. In 2011, there was an increase to 7.5 hours and 11 hours if they multitask. So that's 34% increase in 5 years. I'm kind of looking at where that leaves us now. I know that I constantly have my students saying that screen time is a huge thing. It's either playing games or connecting with other people. I know sometimes it could be a barrier, sometimes it could extend the creativity. So I'm going to talk about how it kind of extends that creativity. So there was a study by Thong in 2007, and she kind of goes over, I'll talk more about how she is as an art therapist, but she basically said computers are being put everywhere, hospitals, schools, after-school programs. So it's that idea of meeting the child where they are. If they don't feel comfortable to communicate or talk just through traditional means, let's go to where they are comfortable. And so that's with the computers. And I also note that usually it's a way to open up, but if there's an addiction with screens, you have to be very careful in the way it gets used and there's no distraction. So benefits for our clients, things that I'm noticing is the cleanup is a lot better. Like you don't have to bring all the materials in, wash them and stuff like that. So it's quite easy. We have time to open and close in a more confined space. This is good for a lot of my students have ADHD or autism, and the idea of a mess sometimes is overwhelming for them. So they really, really appreciate the cleanliness in terms of tech. They can save, erase, multiply, create prints of whatever they did, which is really, really powerful. We've talked about the past couple of presentations just on what the idea of giving them control, the idea of combining. So yeah, technology kind of combines. Some of my students will do stop motion, so they'll do stop motion in creating a sculpture and then photographing that and then editing the photograph and then adding music. So I think a lot of the cool stuff comes from using multiple mediums to create things. So benefits for our connection with others. So the previous study that I quoted, in that same article, she talks about the art therapist being the third hand, and how that third hand is someone who's going to help guide the client. So teach you how to do it, but not manipulate that image or intrude in their space. It's more whenever the client is struggling or needs support in something, they look towards you. We also just talked about how technical difficulties help build relationships, and that's quite common. And when things go wrong, you're there as someone they trust and can relate to. I know that a lot of times it's reassuring, like, wow, that was really tough, but you overcame that obstacle of technical difficulties. So overcoming something kind of gives them more power. Here are some of the works that I've done. This is either client work or group work. So the bottom two images of the face and different, I guess, graphics inside, this was a group activity, and it was a group of my students who were trying to get to know each other better, and we used just normal clip art images to fill kind of what our face looks like and what things matter to us. So there's one, they had a chance to present it and talk about it. And if they want to create a video instead of going up in front of the class to talk about it, they have that option too. But again, meeting them where they are at, they're super keen to use the tech instead of talking about it or drawing it out. The top one was Thanksgiving, and I asked, what are things that you're thankful for? And that was one of the examples that I got from things that that person was thankful for or not thankful for. It's kind of, it turned into something that was supposed to be so innocent to them describing higher issues, but clearly something that really mattered to them. Third one is creating that space, a space where they felt comfortable to kind of explore in a 3D realm. Oh, the middle one, not the third one. The third one's a map, and that's a map of this individual's experiences. So they traced out a map and then wrote where they learned different things or what they did when they were traveling to different places. On to the next one. The top one, the duck, is what we call color conversation, and I know that so many of us use this traditionally with just one, like silence, but drawing one line and then having the client draw another line. So that's kind of what came out of this, is that the client drew something and then I drew on top, and together we created this like duck artwork thing, and then just being able to communicate about where that idea came from. The second one, like right below it, I'm going to press play and that should show you. So this is kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. It's using an image to then trace and create like a stop motion out of it. This was a very beginning draft of something. I'm still working with one of my clients on creating a story with it, but I wanted you to be able to see that even if you don't feel comfortable drawing, there's a possibility to be able to, with this app that I will show you, to create, trace, and then erase that layer. And then the bottom, the one on the side is my relationship with the student. This was kind of one of our groundbreaking ones, because we were always on either separate parts of the campus on the digital thing, but this was one where she put us close together and she looks quite happy. And I think it speaks to the relationship built even through the digital media. Here is the process. So what I love about this app is it also goes over the process that a student is going through. So he was thinking he's going to draw something. I'm actually going to go back as I talk about it again. So he drew this mess, and then he decided he didn't like it anymore. He's going to throw it in the garbage. In throwing it in the garbage, he created this snowman. We got snow for the first time last week, or a couple weeks ago, for the first time in Vancouver this season. So it was quite an exciting time for a lot of the students. So that's kind of where that artwork came from. So yeah, research shows therapists' comfort level with technologies is what holds back the digital creativity of our clients. So I want you to feel more comfortable with the app that I use, which is Procreate, and it's a paid app, but totally worth it if you've got the means to do it. I know that there's so many other sketch apps. I really like this one because it's something that I'm more comfortable with, but again, a lot of this could be used there. So in my slides, I kind of go over where everything is and what it looks like. So we've got where all the galleries, where all your artwork's kept, where you can change brush stripes, intensity, make mistakes, undo, redo. This will all be online, so I wanted it as kind of like takeaway material so you knew, but I will be showing you how to use it. I'm going to screen share with the iPad so you can see it in real time. So with Procreate right now, we're in, and once you download the app, this is what it will look like. And in the top right-hand corner, you have the plus. You can go ahead, if you've got the app, you can open it up. If not, you can follow along. The plus, and then screen size. So everything in the top left corner is gallery. I really like the tool bar because that's where a lot of things are shown. So if the individual doesn't feel as comfortable with drawing something, you could insert a photo or take a photo. So yeah, if I decided to take a photo, It would be, I don't think I have anything as exciting to take a photo of. Maybe, oh yeah, here's my colleague as I take a photo of her. And so then I could use photo. And if you see, with 2 fingers on the screen, I'm able to pinch kind of in that same zoom-like feeling. And if I go up to the right-hand corner, there's the 2 boxes, and those 2 boxes are kind of what shows your different layers. And so for those layers, I'm able to tap on the N and lower the opacity of the image layer. And in lowering the opacity, I can go to plus to create a new layer. And this will be the one that I could start drawing on. So this would allow me to trace and have the confidence to trace without feeling like I have to draw her by hand. So that's the idea of creating layers and adding an image. I'm going to go over the different brushes on the top so that you can see them. There's the paintbrush, and that shows all the different possibilities. So calligraphy, artist, stucco, oil paint, different textures. I know a lot of my students love the element section, just being able to replicate water and oceans. So if we decided to put Sarah in the clouds, you can do clouds, and then, oh, too much in the clouds, we'll go to the bottom left-hand side for the arrow to get rid of that, but we can put her in the clouds. There's some clouds. So yeah, just normal replicating of the different elements. If we were to do the sketch part, then this is maybe where I would do an outline of her. But I don't want to do it in blue, so again, to change the color, you would go to the top right-hand corner, and there's 2 dials. So the first dial, the outer circle, will be the one to pick your color. So let's say, this doesn't matter because I'll do black, but if we were going to pick a color, that's where we do it. And then the inside is what gives us either closer to white or down to black. So now that I've got black, I could go ahead and trace just by putting different pressure on the screen. This is a very rough sketch. Mm-hmm. All right, so then if I decided I've drawn a quick sketch of her, this is where we'll figure out what I've missed out on. I could remove the underlining layer, and so I'll see just her. If I want to go back to removing the underlining layer means unchecking the box there where it says layer 1. And then if I want to go in and let's say add something to the image, like maybe exploring with some of the wet mediums. I actually really, if you look at this oil brush, let's say, I do it in black. Like it's quite honestly a pretty good replica of what it would look like. And then the smudging tool, if I click on the smudge and let's say wet oil paint, it allows me to kind of blend away how it would be if you decided to smudge something. So students also really like this as kind of another. And if I pull from the white parts, it kind of adds white into it, just like how you would if you're painting. So it's quite, the possibilities are opened in that end. And then If you don't like anything, you could erase it. I encourage using different layers for different things that you decide to do. If you do use different layers, and it's easier to delete that one layer if you decide maybe I don't want to put the clouds there, maybe I want to put a sun or something like that. But based off of, I guess, the child's interest and complexity, a lot of times, sometimes I will just use one layer. Other times I will use multiple layers if they feel more comfortable with the technology. I never want to overstep their comfort level, for sure, because that would take away from the session. If it's just a basic, like, oop, I'm making a mistake, want to get out of that, I would press the arrow in the bottom left-hand corner to then go back. Or if I decide I want that again, or like I actually did like the white, then I could press that arrow again and put more of it. Another thing, if we go back to the top corner, you've got the wrench, and that wrench will allow me to do things like share it with other people. So I think what I love about what we've all kind of said is accessible to all, is being able to share your screen or share your artwork with multiple people and being able to connect with people that way. So that's, if you press to share, you get like Procreate, PSD, PDF, JPEG, PNG. So I usually will send it in whatever format won't disrupt the quality. Usually JPEG or PNG is pretty good. If I want to blow it up and print it in something bigger, then maybe I would do PDF. And then right beside share, you've got video. And so video is how I was able to record the time lapse of that other client when he decided he wanted to do something from creating this garbage to throwing it in the garbage to then creating the snowfall, like just being able to watch the progress and the process work that happens with an individual, especially if you're going to do it remotely and you can't see them face to face. So if I go to start, if I go to time-lapse replay, you'll be able to see mine, what I've done. And then if I was to press time-lapse, export time-lapse video, this is how I would be able to get access to that, or be able to send it to somebody else. So it would save directly into your photos. And then you can send that off to somebody else to share. So I'm gonna, if there's, yeah, so I'll open it up to questions. I was just looking at the screen and someone says, thank you for sharing how you use Procreate. I really love the app as one of the important functions. It has palm rejection. Yes, that's true. Palm rejection is really good, so that I could draw and I'm not worried if my palm will be able to read something. Another thing that I really like, and a lot of times clients really like, is when, let's say, they put something in the wrong area. If you go to selection, so S, which is in the top left-hand corner, I could then remove, so if I wanted to remove this drawing of Sarah and put her somewhere else there, I'm like doing it like that, and then I could press the arrow to then move her somewhere else if I decided that that was a wrong place. Another thing I could do is I could multiply, and sometimes, so with if I go back to S and I grab her again, and then I do a 3-finger swipe. Oh, I'm gonna go back to do that again. If I do a 3-finger swipe, then I could copy and then paste. So now I have 2 Sarahs that I could move, and a lot of times, like if you're doing some kind of stop motion animation or something like that, it's helpful to duplicate and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this screen, and then go back to sharing this screen. Share. So yeah, so I've put on different tips So you can see it. So tip 1 would be to support client creativity comfort by allowing them the opportunity to add a photo to traits. This second one. Oh. The second one would be document in progress, which I kind of showed you, encouraging clients to share it with other people. I think what's great about this is I'm so used to, right now I'm doing both digital and art-based media. So with the students, I have folders of all their artwork, but it's really good to also have the digital copy, especially for notes. I love my case notes when they have the digital image that I could attach onto it as well. So that's really helpful. And then tip 4 is just be creative and explore all the possibilities. And that's, yeah, questions and contact. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just wait a minute to see if anything comes in. But while we do so, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you for, entering our space here in Vancouver, Canada. And thank you to Kate for showing your early work. That has really set a tone for all of us and inspired us all in this work that we do. And yeah, Michelle, really lovely to see how you're sharing this work with the student too. And there are some really helpful tips about using Zoom in your session too. So thank you for that. And Andrea, yeah, a really great introduction into using Procreate. It's a tool that I've been meaning to use. So I have a little sketch of Andrea here too. And it was really helpful. This has been something I've been meaning to learn how to do. So just to have those little tips has been really helpful to think about. So thank you to everybody.